Hi, I'm Dr. Tushar Kshirosagar. I am a hair transplant surgeon at New Leaf Hair Transplant Center. Is the hair transplant successful? Should we spend so much on a hair transplant procedure? And we have seen a lot of hair transplant fail. Hair transplant fail mainly because of the skill of the hair transplant surgeon. If the hair transplant surgeon is not skilled enough, then a surgery is likely to fail. It really depends on the experience of hair transplant surgeon to give results in the difficult cases where a lot of inexperienced surgeons cannot provide. If your hair transplant surgery is being done by hair transplant technicians, then it's not going to be successful, it's not going to be natural. It might be actually dangerous to do surgery from purely hair transplant technicians, because hair transplant technicians are not doctors and they're not allowed to do the surgery, and a lot of surgeries do happen that we see these cases done by hair transplant technicians all the time. Hair transplant is a very successful procedure as in comparison to a lot of other procedures like medical management, or even if you PRP, which is usually successful, it stands no chance in front of hair transplant. Hair transplant is one of the most successful hair gain procedures. The another question being asked is, what is the best age for getting a hair transplant done? On my website there is a classification based on the age of a person and how is he going to get results during this time. Now, in an early age, I would say anywhere from 18 years of age to 23 years of age. Now, doing a hair transplant at such a stage is very early. Most of the hair transplant surgeons are going to say don't do the surgery at such an early stage. And this is true for the people in this age group from 18 to 23 who want to lower their hairlines. Mainly because if you lower the hairline at that stage, and eventually down the line, if you lose hair from the back of the scalp, the lower hairline might actually look very unnatural. We don't know how the hair loss is going to progress in your case, so we don't try to do preemptive surgeries like that. The youngsters are very enthusiastic in doing it, and I have a hard time saying no to them, but I eventually say no to them. But there are certain exceptions to this. There are cases who are in stage 4 or stage 5 at the age of 22. We can't really tell them to wait for another 3 years and then do your hair transplant. Here we definitely go by the stage of hair loss rather than just looking at the age of the patient. The loss has already occurred. The frontal area is lost. There is no further loss which will alter the course of hair transplant in his case. So in such a scenario, at the age of 22, if the person is in grade 4, grade 5 and anything above that, we definitely do a hair transplant. Then coming to the middle age, which I say from anywhere from 24 years to 60 years, it's a wide time span. I think most of the surgeries are done during this time span, and it's, I think, one of the most safest age group to do a hair transplant. It is 23 to 60. Anything more than 60 is the last group of age. I don't think the hair transplant is unsuccessful in above 60, but there are certain limitations. A lot of times in this age group, there are comorbid factors. There are certain factors which may reduce the hair growth even when the hair transplant surgery is done perfectly. And these factors are basically diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, peripheral vascular disease, that means not enough blood is reaching your scalp. And with age, the healing and the hair growth generally is on the decline. So if a young person gets a hair transplant, as an example, he will get probably 95% of his planted hair grown by 9 months. But after 60, this is reduced to approximately to about 85 to 90%. You still get a good result after a hair transplant, but not as good as you would have gotten at the age of 28, for example. There's nothing wrong in doing a hair transplant if you have diabetes, if you have hypertension, if you have done a cardiac bypass or any of those things. The only suggestion from my side would be get everything under control. And Only when we get a physician's fitness in such a scenarios above 60, we then only proceed with the hair transplant. Safety of the patient is the first priority, and if you're safe, if you're doing everything with proper precautions, for example diabetes, if it is very properly controlled, I think you'll get the best outcome. It's your surgery results might not be bad, and you can definitely go for it. What to ask the hair transplant surgeon? Now, this is something which most people don't know. We want to give the best result to everyone. At least the reputed centers want to give results to everyone. But we also want the patient to be well informed in what we are trying to do. And by well informed, I mean they should know basic details about hair transplant. These are all over the internet now. They are there on my website. They're there on everywhere. You can find, you can go through them. They're not that difficult to understand anymore. They're explained in a very simple language. At least on my website, go and check at it. They're explained in a pretty simple language. But what you should ask a hair transplant surgeon is, one, where will be the hairline placed? This discussion should happen 2 times. One, during the consultation. Second, right before the procedure. And I make it a point to include the hairline plan in a general plan on a piece of paper, which the patient should see before he gets his hair transplant. There should be no confusion after the hair transplant is done on where did we decide to get a hairline placed. Hairline is essentially where your line of hair starts. Second thing which patients should ask during the consultation itself is what exactly the area that you're going to cover. So there should be no confusion between me and the patient in what area I'm going to cover. So we hair transplant surgeons always tell the patients that I will always be in short supply of grafts. You will always be in short supply of donor supply. So that's the reason I want to cover this much area only for now. And with this small area, we are going to give the best possible density. So if we do that, then patient's mind is at rest. Okay, smaller area is covered, this area is done, is well informed, and there is no confusion during the surgery. Another question, which is pretty obvious, is how many grafts are going to be extracted and what is my donor supply? Donor supply is an assessment of the back of the skull and the beard area and sometimes the chest area. Now, all of these assessments are done by the hair transplant surgeon. What we are coming across is that this is more and more commonly being done by the salesperson who sits outside somewhere and is trying to push the hair transplant on the patient's head. And I don't think he should talk about graft counts or hairline design or any of the amounts, how much graft is required and all those things with the patient at all. All these things are just going to add into confusion, and at the end of the procedure you will be in a state of confusion with regards to what has been done on my scalp anyway. So it's better to go over this with the hair transplant surgeon rather than anyone else, any other middleman.